red flag. All right, so we've seen how NetOpsVA helps you understand your network and monitor its health, but what about managing the actual configurations of your devices?
Yeah, that's a huge part of network management, keeping those configurations consistent and secure. And I see that the documentation talks a lot about configuration management and control.
And it's not just about backups, although those are essential. NetOpsVA really shines with its configuration change management features.
Okay, so backups are obviously important, but how does it help with managing those changes? Especially in a large network, it can be really difficult to keep track of everything.
Well, for starters, you can define configuration templates. These are basically blueprints for your device configurations, ensuring consistency across your network. And then there's a config compare tool.
What does that do?
The config compare tool is a lifesaver. It can automatically highlight any differences between two configurations. Like, you can compare the current running config of a device with a previous backup, or compare the configurations of two similar devices to make sure they're in sync.
Oh, that's incredibly useful. No more manually scrolling through pages of config files.
Exactly. It saves you a ton of time and reduces the risk of errors. And of course, it also keeps track of who made what changes and when. You have a full configuration change history.
So you have that accountability and you can easily track down the source of any problems.
Exactly. You can generate reports on all config changes within a certain time frame, compare a current config to a saved baseline, or even get alerts if something changes unexpectedly. By default, it checks for changes every 8 hours.
Wow, so it's pretty proactive.
It is. It's all about being on top of those changes and making sure they're authorized and intentional. And speaking of baselines, they have this concept of a baseline template repository.
Okay, what's that about?
Well, it's essentially a place to store your organization's gold standard device configurations. The approved, secure, compliant configurations for different types of devices.
So you have a central place for all your best practices.
Right. And you can regularly compare your running configurations to these baselines to make sure everything is as it should be. You can even copy a baseline configuration to a TFTP server for easy deployment.
That's smart. So you're always striving to maintain that known good state. The notes also talk about a device GUI, but it says it's only